news up in the last 24 hours and also last like hour deal with from the fans and all these things. So it wasn't an easy first season. It wasn't an easy crossovers, high stakes budget with the CW's tonality and flavor, where it feels like it's both a part of the DC universe and the CW is really impressive. And it opens with some insane action, a giant set piece. The budget is used very, very well. I can say that safely. And it's able to be both Golden Age and modern. The Golden Age stuff doesn't feel trite. It feels very deserved. The landing of our new Stargirl doesn't feel shoehorned in or forced. It feels like a legacy from a Golden Age. So there's a lot the show really does right. Chris Baker as Brainwave is a highlight for me. I'm a little biased, I know Chris, and Chris absolutely killed it as Brainwave. I was so impressed. I really think that the show is going to be amongst the best of the CW. I have a hard time watching all of the CW. There's a lot of shows. Frankly, there's too many shows for me to possibly keep up with all of them, so I kind of just pick and choose my battles. Flash is my go-to CW show. Smallville, I was raised on Smallville. I would put this up there with both Smallville and The Flash. This is an absolutely incredible amalgamation of everything you love about DC TV, everything you love about streaming services, everything you love about the drama of comic books, and everything you love about big budget movies. It feels like more of a movie budget than a TV budget. My biggest problem with the long form TV shows is you can tell sometimes they're like, ooh, we spent too much money on Grodd, we gotta have a bottle episode, or oh, there's an event coming, we gotta maybe have a lot of conversations. This show in the pilot, the opening, leans in with more budget. They flex more money than usually you get in an event. So I was so impressed. This was everything I love about Crises. This was everything I love about Smallville. It's up there with Flash. It's tied for first as my favorite new Berlanti madness. So this is really exciting stuff. I'm really stoked for you guys all to see it tonight. It's gonna be really cool to have a new complete type of show, and the Justice Society of America is just the coolest thing that can be part of pop culture. We live in a time where we literally have the most classic of characters on screen, and it's absolutely incredible. So do check out CW's Stargirl. It airs tonight at 8 p.m. It is my favorite one since Flash. I will safely say that. I was trying not to be hyperbolic, but I think this is my favorite new CW show since Flash, and it is probably the best pilot I can safely say. I think it's actually a stronger pilot than Flash, and from what I've heard, it only gets better and better and better. So that's really exciting stuff. You guys can check out an interview I did with Mr. Baker, who plays Brainwave, over on Coycast, which drops tomorrow. So bright and early at dawn, going into is an interview with me and Chris Baker, like a 25-minute interview. So that's going to be pretty rad. So I've upgraded my internet twice. I am now paying more for internet in 1 month than I used to pay for 3. It is unfortunately where I live. I am moving at the end of August, and then I will be paying whatever I can for the next thing of internet. For those of you that don't live in Los Angeles, know that I spend, in 2.5 months, I could buy a PlayStation 4 every internet bill, to put it in perspective. So I'm spending a stupid amount of money for internet that sucks. So I apologize for the stream. My bad. I don't know what I can do. So thank you guys for being patient. That's all I got. I see in the chat people are asking if that was originally a Disney Plus. There is a Stargirl, but this is the Stargirl that Jeff Johns wrote in basically in essence for his family, to as a love letter to his family, and it's really, really cool that it's this good for me. But it is really, really special and exciting. My manager is currently texting me, and very distracting that it keeps popping up, so I'm sorry if you guys are getting me all distracted, because yes, my internet sucks all of the donkey dick, and I can't help it. So, I will talk to you guys about the Stargirl as it develops. I am really, really excited for you guys to see it. It airs tonight at 8 o'clock, whatever your local time is. It'll be on CW and the CW app. So do keep an eye out for those, and it is shutting down some Wi-Fi. I don't know what that means. Yeah, and also, I'm going to have to turn the chat off because I'm getting so distracted. I'm usually way better at ignoring the fact that my internet sucks. But yeah, here we are. Let's see. Let me check the live chat in between news dealies. Let me, I just saw a super chat pop up. Let me see what I can do. And let me try to fight even more internet. Let me see if I move internet around. I talked about Ruby Rose at the top of the show. Yes, she has left the program. It sounds like it was agreed upon from both sides. It sounds like it's going to be for the best for everybody. I hope she finds happiness in her next endeavors, and I hope that they get a brand new, very thoroughly invested Batwoman for season 2 to 10, or however long the show goes. I very much hope that it all works out for both the CW and for Ruby Rose down the line, wherever she may roam. Let's see. On to more news. We also got rumblings this week about the Snyder Cut. Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, the 20th, we are getting a Q&A watch-along for Man of Steel with Zack Snyder himself. Now, Zack Snyder is a legend to some, a icon to others, and just a good dude. I've gotten to meet him and his wife multiple times, and that kind of has tainted my perspective on his films, because once you meet Zack Snyder, you see his whole perspective. He's a really cool dude. The word is cool. Like, I like his ness, and that's how he makes these movies. He's a cool dude. So it's really tricky to hate on anything he does. I think that the Justice League was a situation that was out of his control for horrible reasons. I think that Batman versus Superman had, its problems, but what comes out of the mind of Zack Snyder if given more time, more budget, more any of those things. So I personally have been up to people's expectation, right? You're never going to be able to have the movie that's in your head play on screen. Right now, the Snyder Cut is this perfect thing. The Snyder Cut is this idealized bit of pop culture that can actually never exist. So what's tricky is now we're in a time where if we see the Snyder Cut, we're going to have 3 years of buildup. 2017 was a long time ago. The world has changed a lot. Superhero culture has changed a lot. So I don't know if it's going to be possible, frankly, to have that live up to expectations. But what I hope, frankly, is that we get the Snyder Cut as either a documentary, and we get to break down what it was going to be. We get to see all the cutscenes people want on HBO Max or all those things. Or, and this is the newest rumor, there was a hashtag that was released with the announcement, hashtag paused but not stopped. If we get Zack Snyder back in the DC universe, if we get a Zack Snyder that can go back and retool his universe, then I really think we can get a series or something long form or something even more exciting than a Snyder Cut in the traditional sense, and that would be even more incredible. So I really think that we can get the best of both worlds if we get Zack Snyder back. If we go forward without that, then I don't know how it's going to go. But I see a super chat we got here. I really like the pilot, but it's disappointing that Jack Knight isn't there due to streamlining it, since Starman, which is on DC Universe, is a truly great superheroes that should be read. I agree, but I think you got to streamline anything. I think that we're in a tricky position. There's no way to include all of the content that needs to be included in these shows. There's no way to actually get everything you want in any of this. So if that's our biggest loss, then I think it totally works for me. And you also, I just saw another one. It's a bit disingenuous to call it a CW show since it was only put on there to get more views, which is smart. It's still a DC Universe show, and John said it was above his pay grade to put it on the CW. I agree. I think the balance they did was they made it just enough CW toned when they were making it in the first place that it fit on the CW, because a lot of the DC Universe stuff wouldn't necessarily. Like, I don't see Doom Patrol calling it a CW show is going to help it. I think getting more views on it. The Flash is going to do 10 times more views than the DC Universe app. So I think it's a great move. It's a win-win for everybody to have basically both sides win by having a CW show, but also have it a DC Universe quality show, because I think what the DC Universe has been able to do so consistently, so often, is really impressive, and I think it's the best of both worlds. So, DC Big Oso says, this is awful. I don't know Pretty Little Liars. Frankly, I never, with the glory that is HBO Max. I'm torn because I already have so many streaming services, and as you notice, my internet sucks. So it's not exactly the most enjoyable thing to try to stream content. This pandemic has taught me patience and rage. in equal measure. So I'm hoping that there is enough on HBO Max to pull me over there, because right now I definitely want an American Pickle. That is probably my biggest pull. If the Snyder Cut happens, I'm going to have the curiosity. I'm going to want to check it out. But with Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and all the ones that I do use often, it is interesting where I feel my line in the sand is, but the giant onslaught of offerings they release. Check out the press release. All of the movies that are coming with HBO Max, most of them on launch date, is very impressive. So it has at least piqued my curiosity. I'm definitely more interested than I thought I'd be. I thought it would be an app that I would get to later, but now I'm thinking it's calling to me in a strong way. And I think that the Snyder Cut would tip right over the edge and give me the yes please. So time will tell. Speaking of yes please, Community. Community had its table read for a season 5 episode. I am not on season 5 yet. I am on season 3 of Community. So your boy did not watch the table read, as much as it hurts him to say. I am dying to watch the table read, but I haven't yet. I'll be watching the table read once I get to season 5. I didn't want spoilers or to know what was going on or to be anticipating whatever happened. So gathering to follow. But I'm very excited to see what does. Did this work? Someone let me know, because I'm going to try to reconnect with y'all. Maybe this worked. I just reset every motherfucking thing, and maybe it's better now. I don't fucking know. I am very sick of spending $130 for this, but maybe this is back. Maybe we're good now. I don't know. If you can see me, let me know. We got 12 of you guys still in here. It looks like it's spiraling. It looks like... maybe I'm back, somebody. I reset. I literally unplugged all the internet in my place and plugged it back in. Fuck yes, welcome back, bitches. So, in the world of me losing my fucking mind in quarantine, the highlight reel is the fucking internet. But we're back! I'm so glad I decided to make a career around the fucking internet. I hope you're good. I'm better. Okay, let's dive back in to the motherfucking news. Guys, I'm stressed. I'm going insane in this quarantine. When my internet crashes, I want to find peace, but I rarely do. Okay, diving back into the news. I'll be able to open up my Streamlabs in just one moment, so I can see if there were any things that I missed. But I do believe we left off on the glory that is, we talked about Stargirl, talked about Batwoman, had a little Gapski, and now I want to talk to you guys about Tenet, because I do believe Tenet is the marker by which we're holding off all information about what the movies are going to be. So the last I heard was we need 80% of movie theaters to be open for Tenet to open. Now, that includes, and especially includes, California and New York. LA and New York City account for roughly 20 to 25% of all box office. Now, LA is going to be under stricter regulations because we are a let's just say database city. We like science, we like facts, we like safety. So we're not going to be open until it's actually safe. So I am very much curious if Tenet, with its July release date being a mere month and a half, 2 months away, if that's even an option. So what I'm also wondering is 80% of theaters, if that's going to include or discourage the 50% that is required for how things were when we just left movie theaters. Now, when we left movie theaters last time, it was a 50% capacity situation. If you're only going to have 50% capacity, they're going to have to run, maybe one movie at a time? Maybe Tenet comes out opposite nothing. And instead of having 4 theaters with Tenet, you've got 8 theaters with Tenet at 50% capacity. I could see that being a thing. I could also see the movie getting moved to later in the year, and then that would shift Wonder Woman 84. That would be a very tricky thing all around for the world of cinema, because we've already had cascading delays. We've already had so many things go wrong that I don't know what would happen with 2021's release date schedule if we moved Wonder Woman and the rest of the summer's stack up as is. So I could also see them releasing Mulan and Tenet within 3 weeks of each other, having Tenet be the big first push that it needs to be, and then having Mulan be kind of the alley-oop to get kids back in the theater and all those things. But again, you need to make sure New York City and Los Angeles are open, because that is a solid 20 to 25% of your box office revenue, which is very much required for something that is so specific and crazy like Tenet. Because It's really cool to think about. Tenet is one of those movies where it shouldn't exist. It's a giant. It shouldn't exist in the Suits ideal of what movie theaters are. Everyone says there's no original ideas, and Tenet is a $200 million original idea. Tenet is the proof that you can make things that are bold, different, etc. It took 20 years of incredible Nolan films to get, the kind of leash he's on now where he can make these kind of things, but it's kind of kismet that the first movie back is such a bold, chance-taking experience of a movie. So I'm very hopeful. We will see how that goes. I'm going to jump in the Streamlabs real quick. Smack Talk. What up, man? Hey, Coy, have you talked about seeing the Harley Quinn animated show? Campia has praised it endlessly, so I can't wait to start watching it on Sci-Fi. Thanks, and just keep streaming. I am going to just keep streaming, even if I have to do it on fucking dial-up. I have not watched the Harley Quinn show. I've seen a little, but I haven't been up to date on it. Campy and I usually don't agree on much, so I don't know if that's going to help it or hurt it. But I'll watch it because I like Harley Quinn the character, but I tend to not agree with Campia. He likes different shit. But I will check it out because I want to like Kelly Cuoco, and as of now, I just associate her with Big Bang Theory, which is something that I don't like. So I would love to understand the Kelly Cuoco appeal, and I've heard the writing's incredible. I've heard the animation's so much fun. It seems to me like they definitely took a lot of Deadpool flavor and inserted it in the cartoon, which definitely intrigues me as a Deadpool zealot. I'm very intrigued by it. I haven't gotten the chance to check it out yet, but I intend to. There's so much TV. But yes, that is the plan. I will be checking it out and have not yet. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything in. I think I got all the super chats. Dan V900 says Swamp Thing season 1 airing on CW is still weird. I agree, but now we have a chance for a season 2, right? Like now we have an actual opportunity to go forward and maybe get more. I doubt it because I know it was really expensive to store all those sets, and I know that it got canceled early because of the way things worked out, but maybe there's a chance. Vanko says, I'll always be grateful to the CW for creating these shows and spearheading superhero TV shows, but their time has passed. So many other shows from other places are doing a far better job, in my opinion. Vanko, I gotta disagree. I think they're doing what they do best. I think that as we get older, we just fall out of love with those properties. I think it's just a genre and a style. I think that I don't like soap operas, but I don't think that they're bad for those that like them. They don't hurt anybody. So people that like the CW shows, it's just a different style. So I see what you're saying, but I think if you want to look at it from a different perspective, it's not that the shows aren't as good. It's that you and I might have grown out of that style of TV making. So I do think that they spearheaded what the modern live-action TV landscape is, especially with Smallville. I think Buffy allowed for Smallville, and Smallville allowed for the Arrowverse in a very, very linear way, and that was all Warner Brothers and CW and all those things. But I would have to say that I think it's just like a maturation of viewer, and I have a hard time with a lot of... I don't like to rewatch my favorite childhood films because I'm like, no! But I can see what you're saying, and I think it's all perspective. So, personally, I liked the season of Flash that my friend Jess was on, season 6? Season 5? Whichever season that was, and I didn't think that had gone down. I think that like season 3 or one of those seasons was a little off, but then they came back up. So I think it just depends on the showrunner, the writers, all of those things. But I personally don't think that it, as a universal rule it has. I just think that it's maybe just perspective. But that's just my take. We talked about the Ruby Rose news from DC Big Oso, yeah. Dan V900 said, I really like the pilot. Oh yeah, Jack Knight, we talked about that. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the super chats. And I apologize for having to restart everything, but I'm glad I got all of that. Oh, Dizzle D! Okay, now I got all those super chats. Dizzle D, what is my favorite Deadpool run? My favorite Deadpool run is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It is a run in the Jerry Duggan time period where he was writing it. It is about Wolverine, Deadpool, and Captain America in North Korea, where they are saving a bunch of mutants who were experimented on in concentration camps, and it is brutal and it is harsh, but it is heartwarming and it is funny and it is action-packed and it shows the heart of Deadpool. For me, anyone can write Deadpool as like the guy that makes jokes, but when you show how much heart he has, those jokes land twice as well. So I really like Joe Kelly's Deadpool stuff. I really like Jerry Duggan's Deadpool stuff. I think that Joe Kelly's Isn't It Bromantic with Spiderman is probably my second favorite arc, so it's issues 1 through 6 of Spider-Man Deadpool, the team-up book. That's probably my second favorite arc, if that also helps. So, Isn't It Bromantic, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Most Stuff by Joe Kelly are the arcs that I really appreciate. So, I like my Deadpool to be equal parts pathos and empathy and insanity. So I want the humor and the heart to be in equal measure, and that's Deadpool's the character that wears a mask to protect you from his face. That's so important. Most superheroes are protecting their identity. He's protecting you from how gross he is. So frankly, like, that's such a unique thing, and that's a hard thing to write. So that's the Deadpool I enjoy. The Jerry Duggan run is so consistent. It's hundreds of issues of very good. I think it's almost 200 issues. It's incredible. So, those are my recommendations, and they are ample. Okay, back to... Oh, man. Okay, we're choppy again, but I apologize. I've already reset, and I've already tried. Okay, more news. We talked about Batwoman. We talked about SnyderCut. We talked about Stargirl. I mentioned tomorrow, Coy-Cast has an exclusive interview with Mr. Baker, who plays Brainwave. So if you guys want to check out Stargirl tonight, then check out Chris Baker's interview tomorrow, talking Stargirl, talking Brainwave, talking all those glorious things. The dude is awesome. He's also been in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ozark, True Detective, Gotham. Chris is fantastic. He's an incredible actor, and he really gets to show his stuff in the pilot and then going forward in Stargirl. So keep an eye out for that interview tomorrow. We talked about Community. We talked about Tenet. Dark Knight, speaking of Batman, Dark Knight is getting a re-release in Taiwan and Hong Kong as they reopen their movies. They are going to, their movie theaters, their movies, the locations. They're going to be re-releasing the Dark Knight in theaters. Now, I think this is a smart move. I think those movies have very, very much stood the test of time, as well as a great opportunity for people to, get back to being comfortable in the theater. So I think it's a really cool opportunity for people to either go out or not. They're getting a chance to basically be a part of it or not. And I think that having Batman Begins one week, Dark Knight another week, and Dark Knight Rises another week is a slow burn back in the movie theater. So I would love if the American theaters did the same once it was safe. As you guys know, I am a devout movie theater lover. I think the movie theater industry is so important. I want, once they're safe, to have a nice steady flow of building back up. I don't think it makes sense to open Tenet 2 weeks after we get the doors open. I don't think people will be comfortable yet. I don't think it makes sense to open day one with Tenet for sure. So I think a slow burn like that would be a really cool opportunity. So far it's just Taiwan and Hong Kong. I believe Taiwan is May 28th and Hong Kong is June 3rd. So keep an eye out for what the American cinemas might be doing as well. I know AMC has looked at doing some classic movies and playing those back again. I also, shamelessly, selfishly, The Dark Knight has made a lot of money. I'd like it to make a little bit more. With the Titanic getting like 8 re-releases, I want them to re-release Avengers Endgame and like make sure it's got a... I hated when that movie got re-released once. Everybody was like, but Titanic is the actual for inflation. I'm like, Titanic's got like 3D releases and like 10-year releases. Keep re-releasing my Avengers and Dark Knight. Keep those dollars stacking up. Give those movies that earned them money. So that is the news with Dark Knight. I am very much hopeful for that. And again, we'll see if Wonder Woman 84 gets pushed, because if Tenet gets pushed, 84 is getting pushed, and then 2021 is just chaos. So I personally do not want to see Wonder Woman on a small screen for the first time. I will wait another year. I will wait until 2022 to see that movie in IMAX. I will wait to see it in Dolby. I will wait to see it big and loud and incredible. Every screenshot they released from that film, every poster looks cinematic in the truest sense of the word. I need that movie proper. So fingers crossed we get it in the way it should be seen sooner than later, but safer than not. Over to more Batman news. Colin Farrell. Now, Colin Farrell is, as you guys probably know, one of my favorite actors, and Colin Farrell has been talking about The Batman, and he's basically saying he loved the script because he gets to do something totally different. He teased this tasty aesthetic, which I thought was a very clever turn of phrase. Colin Farrell said, quote, "I had only started it and I can't wait to get back. The creation of it, the aesthetic of the character had been fun, and I'm really excited to get back and explore it. I haven't got that much to do. I have a certain amount in the film. I'm not all over it by any means, but there are a couple of some tasty scenes I have in it, in my creation, that I can't wait to get back to." Yeah, I totally feel like it is something that I had not had the opportunity to explore before. It feels original and fun, but I'm only at the start of the journey, so I can't wait to get back and really get into it. I love that Colin Farrell is invested because it's his passion. I love that he's not just casually like, yeah, I'm in the Batman. He's in it because of the aesthetic, because of the specificity of the part, because of the way he gets to play this take on the Penguin. To me, this sounds like really fun prosthetic work. This sounds like really cool, like, true character actor work. I'm really excited to see what this version of the Penguin is. Obviously, Colin Farrell's impossibly handsome. What are they going to do to make him the Penguin? Is he going to be more of a Hammerhead type? Is he going to be like he was in the Arkham games? Is he going to be, you know, a different take on the Penguin than we've seen before? It sounds to me like we get to see Colin Farrell really chew the scenery, and it sounds like he's not in it all that much, but when he is in it, he's in it. So this quote, like I said last week, every single quote about the Batman has me more and more amped, and I'm so excited for it. So time will tell. We'll have to see. All right, we also found out that he has been a Batman fan for a very long time, since the Adam West days, saying, quote, "It's all exciting to be a part of the universe, and just there are certain words that are part of my internal lexicon. Gotham City, Penguin, Joker, Batman, Bruce Wayne, Harvey Dent, all of these things. Tim Burton's Batman was kind of no, I watched the Adam West TV show growing up actually as well. So Batman as a kid, very much. Not in the comic book form, but the TV show I watched ardently when I was a child. And then my teens, I saw Burton's version and loved it. Then obviously I was a huge fan of what Chris did with that world and how he brought it to life and gave it an intimacy and a contemporary significance. So just to be a part of, again, that folklore, that mythology is, again, really cool. I love hearing that Colin Farrell is a Batman fan. I love that we get a Batman that people are invested in. I love that we get a Batman that all the actors, which are some of the best actors working, are invested in. I have met Colin Farrell a couple times, and we've actually talked about Batman, so shamelessly I'm gonna name drop and say that these quotes are very close to what he and I spoke of with the Batman. He loves Batman. I'm gonna leave it there. Like, the dude, like, that's his Spider-Man. Like, the Batman and what Batman means to him is very personal, and what Batman means to pop culture and him is very interesting. So I'm so excited for this take. I'm so excited for him as Penguin. I'm so excited to see this cast assembled. Everything about it, every single quote, every single time we have any sort of news, I'm more and more involved. So I can't wait for the Batman. You will probably next week have more quotes of me just reading you quotes about how excited I am for the Batman. It's my #1 most anticipated movie of whatever year it comes out. Just generally in the future, it's my most anticipated. All right, I think that is all of that kind of news. I want to kick it over to comics before we go back to movies, because this show is comics, cinemas, and curls. Basically, I'm bummed. They are releasing a ton of comics, both DC and Marvel, that had started as print books into digital only. And I think that's a very slippery slope. I understand it's a business, and I understand you need to make profits and all those things, but I would have loved if we could have gotten like a limited print run of some of these books and maybe made them more collector's items. Let the people that have been buying them in print have them in print, because now it's going to be only in collections after a certain issue. So, for example, Supergirl 41 and 42 and the Terrifics 30 at the DC side are only going to be digital and then collected. So if you collected individual Supergirl comics up to issue like 39, then you're not going to be able to finish off the title at 42. Now, Jody Houser is an incredible writer. If you're not checking out Supergirl, it's a real good time. But it's a shame that we're not going to get a print version of issue 41 and 42. Over on the Marvel side, Ant-Man #4, which came out last week, Ghost Spider #9, Hawkeye Freefall #5, which is one of my favorite ever favorite ever Hawkeye titles, is also going to be just digital, which is a real shame. And Marvel's Spider-Man Black Cat Strikes #4 is also just digital. So I've been getting the Hawkeye Freefall book, so I have 1 through 4, but now 5 is just digital. I read it last week. It was great. I love that title. At the end of the episode, we're going to talk about, I'll be reviewing new going, and I did a fully regain that trust with the public for going out, and while we have performs through July, and they're all fairly limited weeks, and then DC has been doing comics since 2 weeks ago, and they're still doing limited weeks as well. So we will see when it turns, if it turns, but at the end of this episode, I will have pull lists for you guys as ever. All right, so speaking of comic books doing things very different and very new, Sean Murphy, who did the Curse of the White Knight and the other White Knight stuff over at DC with Batman, 2 of my favorite Elseworlds, by the way. The White Knight, which is Joker. Joker basically decides that he can do a better job than Batman at saving Gotham by doing it legally, by becoming a politician. So he basically makes Gotham better by not being a villain and by not being a vigilante, and it's really, really cool. Just a totally different storyline altogether. So Batman White Knight is from Sean Murphy, and it's very, very exciting. And I'd say that book and then Curse the White Knight, the sequel he just had come out, are some of the best Elseworlds I've ever read. So this guy, Sean Murphy, who both writes and illustrates these books, is doing an end. Now, this is apparently Victorian meets swashbuckling meets action and drama. Everything he's always wanted to do, apparently, is... did we miss... You did miss my incredible reaction. Smack Talk, to recreate that reaction, I was saying the irony of the internet being the worst thing and that you were the opposite of the internet, and then apparently the internet crashed. So thank you for being the opposite of my internet service and being the absolute best. Thank you. I'm moving in August, and man, oh man, I tell you, I'm going to bring I don't even know, like the Wi-Fi version of a metal detector. I'm going to walk through whatever apartments I look at and just test the fucking Wi-Fi. I've got the stream thing on my phone, like to test streaming levels, and I'm 100% going to do that. I'm going to move into a fucking Verizon or a Comcast building so I can stream. So thank you. Sincerely. Much obliged. And this is the second thank you for people watching this later, so rewind this stream once this all renders, and my internet hates me. We talked about comic books, we talked about digital versus print, that was about 2 minutes ago. Moving forward into Sean Murphy's incredible The Plot Holes. The Plot Holes is going to be a crowdfunded comic book from Sean Murphy, who's a writer and illustrator that's done a lot of great Elseworlds, and I'm fascinated by it, so that's going to be... The crowdfunding is currently going on now. The comic will be coming out later. Do check out The Plot Holes. Over in the world of cinema, we've got Lord and Miller are directing a Ryan Gosling astronaut film. Man, Ryan Gosling loves space, and I love him for it. We are getting a Lord and Miller... And when you make the Lego movie, I hope you get to just go I'd like that one. And I think that's what just happened, because Ryan Gosling is an impossibly consistent performer, and his movies get butts in seats. I was so bummed about how the Solo thing was handled. I'm excited for their return to live action with this Ryan Gosling astronaut film. Fingers crossed, it's incredible. In the writing world, Legally Blonde 3 is happening, and Mindy Kaling and Dan Goor are attached. I don't know Dan Goor's work, but Mindy Kaling is obviously very, very responsible for so much goodness in The Office. She's very funny. Late Night was pretty good. I like her writing, so her taking over Legally Blonde 3 along with Dan Goor, very excited. Also, in the world of curls, we're on, and at least maybe then I'd have better internet. Apparently we lost, and we're back. And we're back! This is going to be the weirdest stream to watch after the fact, because there was a big gap, and now we've lost it twice, and both times I've retreaded over what I just said. So anyone watching this, later on tonight or tomorrow, I'm sorry for the chaos this stream became. I hope you like the chaos of what the business internet is. The entertainment that you provide between your podcast and live streams, buffering it all. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm fighting the good fight. I almost got angry enough to say very, very mean things about that last buffering period. Very angry. I almost cursed the Spectrum gods, but instead I politely just made them an anti-commercial. Thank you, Jason Ritchie. I appreciate you. I'm trying to make content often every week. I film my podcast or record my podcast on Mondays. I do this stream on Tuesdays. Wednesdays I get half my Patreon work done. Thursdays I do a collection. Friday I get the rest of my Patreon work done. Saturdays when I do all my around the house cleaning, errands, and life stuff. And then lately I've been taking Sundays off to watch movies because I'm broken from the 6 workday week. So I'm very much trying to give you guys at least 4 days of content if I can. More when the internet works better, but thank you for noticing, and thank you for being here, and thank you for being patient with this buffering bullshit, because it truly is out of my control, and I'm actually I went from having a studio, it was January 2nd of this year, which feels like 5 years ago, where I lost that. I used to be able to walk into a place, not even think of the internet, not think of graphics, not think of titles, just do my job, and that all went away like that, and I had no notice, and I had no prep, and then it was less than 3 weeks later that I lost where I was living, moved into a garage, and it's been, and then it was 4 weeks after that there was a fucking pandemic. So I really, really, honestly, this isn't me bitching, this is me appreciating you, because I've learned that I can withstand a lot, and you guys have really helped that. So between my life falling apart, jobs falling apart, relationships falling apart, like shelter falling apart, I'm fucking ready for whatever comes next. That said, y'all are the balancing scales to that, right? Like the Justice is Blind chick. You guys are you're helping. So thank you, truly, for your impeccable patience and kindness. You mean the world to me. In the world of news, we've also got poll list this week. But before we get to poll list, while we're on this fairly sincere emotional note, we lost both Lynn, Shelton, and Fred Willard this week. And I want to say that losing Lynn Shelton at such a young age is such a force in getting movies made that are hard to get made right now. Laggies is such a masterpiece. Check out Laggies if you hadn't. It's so good. But Lynn Shelton touched so many lives, and she was just getting started, and it is a shame to lose her so suddenly. That should have been on every poster. Like, he was just such a funny guy. Like, Fred Willard was just, every time he popped up in a movie, I was always like, yes. Like, you always knew he elevated whatever material he was given. And the only consolation with Fred Willard is it sounds like he went out peacefully surrounded by family at 86. So I would have loved to have had him for longer, but all we can do is hope to go out surrounded by family peacefully, right? Like, that's all we can do. So rest in peace, as full of a life as you seem to have, and to go out as beautifully and restfully and well. So rest in peace, Fred Willard. You gave us so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. End the sadness with comic book happiness. Comic books are back, y'all. Last week, I read the following books, and they were spectacular. Last week, I got to read Ant-Man #4, Avengers of the Wastlands #4. I read all of Ex Machina Compendium Volume 2. Ex Machina is blowing my mind. It is Westwood, very beautiful, like strong lines, but very clean lines. Not photorealistic, but like the cartooniness is Machina. I'm on Volume 3 now and loving it. So check out number 10, Ravencroft #4. Those are the books that I read last week that I would recommend in varying degrees of recommend. I think my favorite out of those last week, besides Ex Machina, which was absolutely incredible, was probably Lois Lane #10 or Ant-Man #4. So if you're only going to pick up one book from last week, I'd say Lois Lane #10 or Ant-Man #4. Really good time to be getting back. Week, I've actually got a decent-sized pull list. All right, you guys ready? I recommend Deceased 44. Deadly Class is such a good book. Rick Remender writes the hell out of that book. Oh, I love Deadly Class. It's near the top of my pull list, if not the very top. Everything for this particular book. Doctor Doom #7. Dollhouse, which is amongst the Black Label Hill House line over at DC. Dollhouse Family #6. Hawkeye Freefall #5, digital only. Marvel's Spider-Man The Black Cat Strikes #4, digital only. Plunge #3. Star #4. Strike Force #8. And Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen #10 are all coming out this week. You guys, Wednesday has that many comics. It's still a quarter of what we had before this pandemic, but it feels so good that I got to actually speak for like 30 seconds about just a list of comics coming out. That is so exciting. So keep your eyes peeled. Those are the books I recommend. I'm so excited. I'm currently reading the Ex Machina Compendiums and Ultimate Spider-Man. So next week, Ultimate Spider-Man, we're going to be diving into issues 1 through 3. I told you guys last week we were switching books over from Saga to Ultimate Spider-Man. You've got one more week to pick it up. Spidey says hi, and he is very needy. Hello, Spider-Cap. So Ultimate Spider-Man is what I recommend you guys play along with. We'll be doing that here and on Patreon, so read 1 through 3 before next week. It is on Marvel Unlimited and Comixology. And then streaming-wise, my streaming recs for the week are, which is reuniting Steve Carell with The Office creators, and I'm very excited. A new trailer dropped today that looks very, very good. I'm so amped. So Space Force on the 29th and The Lincoln Lawyer on the 27th over on Netflix. And then finally, the movies I watched this week, for those curious, I did full reviews of these over on the Patreon podcast. You can check that out over there. And that's recorded in a studio with social distance. Patreon podcast. I reviewed Crazy Rich Asians, Love Antosha, The Wave, Men in Black International, Clue, the 1985 Clue, I'd never seen it, The Congress, which is, there's a giant review over on my YouTube. Check out my review of The Congress. Have a Good Trip, which is very important to me, and West Wing Season 2. I have taken my Sundays to watch 3 to 5 movies, and it's made me a much happier man. That is the one day a week I just turn my phone off and watch movies, and it's helped me stay sane alongside you guys. So those are the things I watched this week. If you guys want to check out what I thought of those, check out the Patreon podcast. And I think that is the news for this week. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you to Smack Talk. Thank you to Dan V900. Thank you to Jason Ritchie. Thank you to Vanko. Thank you to everyone in here that is, and DC Big Oso. I think that's everybody. I think I got everybody. Thank you guys all so very, very much. August is when I'm moving. I saw someone say when I move we should have a party. I'm thinking we should have a housewarming party, and I'll just stream it. Like, maybe we'll do like an open source, like I'll announce a time and we'll just like drink and talk about movies. Like, I'll go nuts and we'll like have a housewarming thing. Because frankly, we do need to celebrate that Mad